The Rip City Drive.
All right, very happy to take a trip right now to Biloxi, Mississippi from Fox Sports Radio. Our good friend Brian Noe talking some ball. What's up, Bino?
What is going on, fellas? Now, the question I have, is it Heavy Metal Monday or is it Death Metal Monday? I'm just confused which one it is for you guys.
I would say it has to be Death Metal Monday with Chris Burkhardt in the house. No question.
I think it's going to be a crowd pleaser for sure.
There's no question. So, dude, what are you doing down in Biloxi? You are one of the most interesting people on the planet. You've been everywhere this year. What are you doing down there?
Well, thanks, Chad. That's nice of you. Yeah, doing the countdown to kickoff shows there. Biloxi. I don't know if it's Biloxi or Biloxi. I seriously don't know. I need to for it tomorrow. But we're heading down to Mississippi and doing the shows there Saturday and Sunday. So just on the way, en route. So you tell me if there's any spotty cell phone service, just let me know and I'll pull over for sure.
So, Brian, you drove to Florida, you drove to Denver, you drove, I don't know where. Now you drove to Mississippi. You're driving to Mississippi?
Yeah, driving to Mississippi. Going to head over to New Orleans right after the weekend just for a day or two. And then eventually making our way back up north to Indiana. So, yeah, a lot of miles on this car over here, Dwight.
That is amazing.
I'm in awe.
Now, do you have a traveling partner by any chance?
Yes, you'll say is with me. So we are making the long journey. We put a lot of miles on the car together in not that long of a time. So, yeah, we've been road warriors here.
Well,
Does she share the driving?
Yeah, a little bit. Just not in the dark. Dark is no good. Dark doesn't work. So, yeah. But she helps out.
That's great, man. I suck at driving at night now, too, Brian. But, dude, one thing I know about Mississippi, great food down there if you want some seafood or if you want some barbecue. So at least you can have some good eats.
Nice. I'm a big fan of shrimp. Love every type of fish there to eat. So, yeah, I'll get along quite nicely with that, Chad.
Gosh, that's awesome. All right, let's talk some games. What's your take on what we're going to see tonight with Utah and USC in the Pac-12 title game?
I love what Kyle Whittingham has been saying leading up to the game, where it's just, oh, yeah, hand Caleb Williams to Heisman, USC playoff berth. It's just a mere formality. I love how he's approaching this. And look, you guys know this. Coaches try to create this us against the world thing. And sometimes it's not even close to being true. But he's right. What he said, we're just thinking about, all right, just another box to check for USC, and they're in. But you guys know the horror stories of the Pac-12 eating other Pac-12 teams. And this is another spot where it could happen. And I'll tell you what, man, as sensational as Caleb Williams and that offense have been, their defense is freaking brutal. And if Cam Rising can at least play well enough, he's got that unspecified injury. And I have horror stories. I was betting Brian a couple of weeks ago against it, and he was a disaster. But if he limits the mistakes and doesn't turn into a turnover machine, they're going to put a lot of points on the board against that god-awful defense. I would not be surprised at all if it's upset city tonight.
Yeah, that's funny you say that, Brian, because we were just talking about it. And I was making fun of the fact that USC is only a 3-point favorite. I realize they lost to them once before, but come on now. You're the first person I've run into all week long who thought Utah had a chance to win this game.
That's the best example why they do have a great chance, know?
That's true.
You know what I mean? It's like when we're just like, oh, yeah, Ohio State's going to throttle Michigan. How is Michigan going to do it without Blake Corum? And then you get that tap on the shoulder, and it's like, oh, yeah, you had it all figured out, you thought, right? And it's like, nope, no, you didn't. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is another instance of that.
All right, Brian, another close spread. TCU, a 1.5-point favorite over Kansas State in the Big 12 title game tomorrow. I got a ton of respect for Sonny Dykes and Max Duggan and the way they've been able to make it through the entire slate unscathed, undefeated going into that game. What do you think about that matchup?
Man, it's a weird team, isn't it? It's like TCU on one hand, I think if they had the brand recognition of USC, we wouldn't be questioning them as much as we have been this entire season.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's like they've trailed in the second half of 4 or 5 games, and they've pulled those out, and it's just razor thin, man. They've been begging to get beaten against Baylor, where they're running the field goal team on, or the first meeting against Kansas State. They're down by 18 points, and it took an injury to both quarterbacks, and they pull it out. So I get the skepticism of TCU, but they've found a way every game this season. I think it's a little dicey facing Kansas State again, with everything right there, the college football playoff berth right there in your sight. I want to see if they play a little tight, but man, they've been a team that has just found a way. They've been the find a way team. They're I think TCU is kind of the Tua of college football. You know, the Tua Tagovailoa, right? Tua has been sensational this year. Tua has been great, but it's like, but is he going to be great against the Niners? It's all about the next game where you're like, but is TCU going to be great in the next spot? I think TCU is like Tua this year.
Let me ask you this. I don't know if you watched the Oregon State game, Brian, but if you ever in your life, your football life, seen a team go 0 for 5 on 4th downs?
I'm not sure I have, but that was a spot. Hey, betting no was on the Beavs, and it looked like a horror story until Oregon State was like, screw it, let's just run the ball. Yeah. They can't stop us. That was crazy to see. A talented team like Oregon, much more talented than Oregon State, just get absolutely punked, and they couldn't do a thing about it. You could see the recipe there for an upset with Bo Nix being limited, but man, the defense having no answer whatsoever for a running attack like that, that was insane to see.
All right, Brian, if TCU and USC were to lose, do you think that ushers in both Ohio State and Bama, or do you think TCU in a close loss would be safe based on the fact that they have 12 wins and played in a conference title game? How do you think that would play out?
Yeah, right. I think TCU would have to get throttled pretty good, because I guess you could look at it and say Ohio State lost to a better team, assuming that Michigan wins the Big Ten title game. You could say Ohio State lost to a better team because we think Ohio State is better than Kansas State. Kansas State has 3 losses.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think TCU would have to get worked pretty good. But, man, that is the final impression. And then you also think brand name. Ohio State has a much bigger brand name than TCU does. So it'd be interesting to see how the committee looked at TCU if they lost by 10, 17 points. Imagine if they lost by the same total Ohio State did. Yeah. I mean, that'd be a heck of an argument if that's what happened.
All right, Brian, you brought up the name of my favorite quarterback, Tua, and I'm wondering, they got the Niners. They still have to go to Buffalo and New England. What do you expect out of those games?
Well, I expect San Francisco to get punked. This kid, Nick Bosa, Tua's going to run circles around this guy, Nick Bosa, who we love so much. And then this clown, Josh Allen, who everybody, give him the MVP right now. Yeah, Tua's going to show who the real MVP is, just like he did earlier this season when Ken Dorsey is like slamming his tablet down in disgust, like, this Tua's just so much better than Josh Allen. I can't take it. And then who's the other guy? Mac Jones. Mac Jones can't hold Tua's jock. I'm expecting nothing but excellence from the fish over here.
Okay, we've had the joke. Now, come on. How do you really feel? That was the comedy portion of this interview.
Okay. Putting my Dolphin allegiance to the side. Look, man, honestly, I think I want to see how Miami does in December heading to Buffalo. That's a major hurdle. Of course, the hurdle this Sunday. Look at San Fran's defense, man. They haven't allowed a point in the second half in the last 4 games.
Gosh.
That's unbelievable. So this is a tough test. I love how the Dolphins offense has performed all season long. I think they're absolutely capable of winning this game. But this is where you get your information on the Dolphins. We've given them their flowers to this point because they've deserved it, but this is December football. We're ramping up toward playoff football, and I want to see if they have what it takes to separate themselves from the big boys. We'll find out.
Now, of course, Brian, he said that it wasn't directed at anyone. What'd you think about Mac Jones on the sideline last night yelling, "Throw the effing ball, this short game's not working"? What'd you think about that?
Yeah, I guess it was just kind of directed at, I don't know, the fans. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was the mascot, maybe it was like the tight end group. Of course it was that Matt Patricia. That Mac Jones said that with a straight face. Oh, it wasn't directed at anybody in particular. Maybe it was the tandem of, the two former head coaches that are now sort of offensive coordinators, and Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, but we all know that was directed at Matt Patricia, as it should have been. It's like, what was Belichick thinking? I remember before the season, one of my friends is a Patriots fan, and I was like, hey, what are you guys going to do for offensive coordinator? And he said, I think it's going to be Matt Patricia. And I said, what? I was like, that can't be right. He's like, no, man, I think that's going to be the case. Sure enough, it is, and it's played out just as we thought. They're a disaster. I'm not saying they're blessed with great talent all over the place, but Matt Patricia has found a way to consistently get the least out of what they do have.
Okay, I can't help myself. I have to ask you this, Brian. It's like coming close to 8 o'clock Eastern time back there, and it sounds as if you're not in Biloxi yet. I know that show you do in the morning is early. Why aren't you there already? What's going on?
Yeah, well, we stopped in Nashville, so we watched some Thursday night football in Nashville last night,
Nice. And
and then we hit the road, and, we got some pit stops along the way. We're not trying to break our backs to get there at a certain time. So we're making our way down to Biloxi, however you pronounce it. I'm not sure. And we'll get there in the next couple of hours. I sensed a little bit of spotty cell phone service. I got to pull over for my guys. We can't tolerate spotty cell phone service over here. Yeah, so we pulled over for a little bit. But we've got just under 2 hours to go. There's probably a craps table screaming my name. Yeah, I'll get my notes ready. I know football. We'll be fine. And, knock out the shows, watch some ball, and have a good weekend,
Well, I have to tell you, thanks to your co-pilot, who must be the most patient person in the world, to be in a car with you for those hours over the last few weeks.
I love it.
I don't know what you're talking about, Dwight. I am a treat. I would like to say I'm a blessing from the heavens. Anybody would love to be trapped. Riding in a car with me for over 14 hours. She's got to be thanking her lucky stars this is the case right now,
Yeah, and as you and I have talked about, being radio guys, we get accused of yelling all the time. Why are you yelling at me? I'm not yelling!
I'm not yelling. I'm just talking about the Pac-12 championship game matchup over here. I can't calm down when it comes to something like that.
Well, dude, you're the best, man. Have a good time down there in Biloxi, however you say it. Have fun on the radio, Fox Sports Radio, Brian Noe. We appreciate it, brother.
Thanks, guys. Always good to be with you, man. Enjoy the weekend of ball over here. Not much left in college football. I can't believe it.
I know, it's amazing. There you go, Brian Noe.